Welcome to staging area. Welcome to Budds Creek and Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. We're here on the Monster Energy stage. Jason Wygant and Jason Thomas ready to preview round 10 of the championship tomorrow afternoon from beautiful Budds Creek, Maryland. A track that you do not say this every weekend. I will back you up. You say this was your favorite track to race, and you actually don't say that about every track automatically for cheap heat.
No, this track's hollowed ground. This place,
This
place is great. Yep. I always loved it. I remember coming here the first time in 1995, just racing amateur stuff, and blown away at how amazing this place was. And I've felt that way. Even the years I had bad results, I was like, this place is still great.
And what is it about the track that you like so much?
I think it's a normal for a Florida guy thing. This dirt is very similar to what everybody that grows up in Florida is used to. Clay mixed with a little bit of sand. The traction's really predictable. So you just get out there and it feels like another day at the practice track, which then breeds confidence and typically leads to a good result.
And they got it super dialed in. We have a view of the track right here. I'm looking at it. They got it disced up and tilled right in front of us. They've been really pulling up the chocolate cake aspect of this soil over the last year with Ezra Beasley taking control of the track now from his dad, Jonathan, and they got it prepped. It looks really good right now.
It's more like orange cream cake, maybe.
Okay,
but,
yeah.
I mean, it's going to be great. You know, there was a risk of rain, which I think is kind of dissipated. It is going to be a warm one. It's going to be a little warm tomorrow, but yeah, we're in for another great Saturday. And the weather's been honestly phenomenal all summer long. We've been very, very fortunate. So, yeah, round 10.
Yeah, it's definitely humid today, and it will be tomorrow. I know everybody, I said this every week, wants the roughest, toughest, gnarliest conditions, but it's been unseasonably cool at most of the races this year, and the racing has been a little closer than it usually is. And I think those two things go together. The less gnarly the conditions, the more the guys can battle all the way to the last lap. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, so we do our Inside Pro Motocross show that
Yeah.
airs on Tuesday nights. So I was speaking with Malcolm Stewart. It was his first race back, his first outdoor national in 8 years, as we know.
Yeah.
And I was kind of, because it didn't really go that well. I think he would even say, like, it was a tough day. And that was one of the things he pointed to was he said, I'm very prepared. You know, Alden has obviously put us through a torture chamber to get prepared for this race, and it didn't show today because it was too easy. You know, the high was 74. No one got tired. He's like, I was waiting for the guys to get tired, waiting. He's going to get that tomorrow. Like, there will be some guys suffering late in the moto, but that definitely wasn't the case at Untitled.
No, it was 70 degrees, I think, at peak last week. So we're previewing Budds Creek here. We have a pretty good-sized crowd on hand. Now I have to break the bad news. I have lied to the crowd for the second week in a row. Last week I said we would have Dylan Ferrandis on the show at Unadilla. We didn't get him at Unadilla, but I believe we are going to get Dylan Ferrandis today. But I'm trying to pause as long as I can.
I don't know what you're about to say. I don't know what you're about to say. No, I don't know what you're about to say.
Okay. We said we'd have James Stewart. He did not make it to the track today. I don't believe James has flown in a while. Something went wrong with the flight. I don't know if it was canceled, misconnection, he messed up, who knows. I don't think he lands till 7 tonight. So I'm just telling you fans up front. Yeah, JT's gone, and the rest of you folks, if you're only here for JS7, we will have him on the TV show tomorrow. We will not have him on staging area, so go ahead and boo or throw stuff at me or just leave. They booed. I mean, I think I deserve that.
Hey, how nervous were you about breaking that news right now?
I know. And we decided this morning, we're like, if the fans find out he was here and we didn't tell them, they'd be so disappointed. So let's let everybody know, only to find out about 3 hours later it's not going to happen. So now we have the ultimate litmus test. Are you going to stick around just to hear JT and I talk? One guy said,
hey, we're getting the AMA's Mike Pelletier.
We will have Mike Pelletier, yes.
And we're also getting Dylan Ferrandis. We're getting the reigning Lucas Oil Pro Motocross champion. It's not that bad. I mean, it's not Stu. I get it. Yeah. It's not Stu. But we have a pretty good lineup.
Yeah. Dylan Ferrandis. It'll be interesting to get his take. So JT Ferrandis comes back last week, first race. I had forgotten. I'm thinking it's his first motocross race of the year. But he actually not raced since March.
Yeah.
He missed the last 2 months of Supercross. And then he goes out and gets a whole shot, basically, which he never does. So what a welcome back for him.
Yeah, I'm curious to ask him how he was feeling because most guys want to ease your way back into it. If you look at Malcolm Stewart and Dean Wilson, I think they eased back into it, right?
Yep.
They were circulating in the teens most of the day, no sudden movements, right? Ferrandis, no. I'm going to be leading over the finish line the first lap. So really impressive by him. I think it spoke to the level of confidence he had. I mean, he does have a number 1 on his plate for a reason, but you always kind of wonder, like, he's coming off of surgery. He has to be watching the races from home, and he sees the pace that Sexton and Tomac are going, and it's, for anybody, it's impressive to watch. And didn't seem to care. So I think, 4:10 on the day, something like that. So decent result. I think it gave him something really to build from. I think, the day's going to be a little tougher tomorrow, like as far as he might be suffering through the heat a little bit tomorrow, more tomorrow than he did last weekend. But I think just getting a race under his belt, putting his body through that, 2 motos, it's going to show up. And I think that was the worst of it. So if 410 is the worst of it, he might, I hesitate to say he's going to be in the mix with Tomac and Sexton because that level is so extraordinarily high right now.
Right.
But I do think he'll be on the podium by the time we get to Fox Raceway.
Yeah, that's certainly a reasonable goal for him to have. He was right in that mix. It's 2 things to talk about in this 450 class. First of all, the racing up front, which we'll get to, Sexton and Tomac. It has been all-time. It has been phenomenal. There's only 1 point between them with 6 motos to go. No one's close to them, but everybody else is close to each other. Jason Anderson has basically been the third-place guy, but there have been wars for that third-place spot. There are about 6-7 rider packs for 3rd through about 9th. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, it has been, except for the fact that Anderson's starting to establish himself as that third-place guy.
Yeah.
I think it's been 4 out of the last 5 motos. Maybe he's been in 3rd. And speaking with him on the podium last week, it's starting to turn into podium's not good enough anymore. You can see that mindset changing where he's not satisfied with 3rd. Because at the beginning of the year, he was like, man, being on the podium's great. I've never really done that good outdoors. He gets that win at Hangtown. And then now it's slowly morphing into he's more disappointed that he's getting checked out on by those 2 than he is happy about the podium. It's almost like he's expecting that podium. So it's going to get tougher for Andis, but I think it's cool to see Anderson after so many years of, I don't want to say struggling because I don't know how much effort he was truly putting into this motocross series, but it's cool to see him really thriving in this series after doing it for a really long time.
I think the one thing he's got to tell himself, and he does in the press conferences later in the day, he reminds himself, he mentions it every week, that he's still learning something that he could maybe take into next year, even for Supercross. I mean, you lived it. Every time you're out on this track, and he's going as fast as he can. He's riding his edge. Maybe the Sexton Tomac edge is a little bit quicker, but he's on the edge. He's still going to learn something about the motorcycle and himself every time.
Yeah, and you said it there. I think he's trying to figure out what he can do, what he can test, how Brock Tickle can help him with testing during the week. What can they unlock that will get him to the next level? Because I don't think he's looking at it going, I don't have the talent. I don't have the ability, right? We just watched him win 7 Supercrosses and blow everyone away the second half of the season. So I think he's coming at it with the right mindset. It's like there's something there that we haven't figured out that it's going to click, and I'm going to figure it out. So I don't know if that's going to happen this year. It's pretty late. Like, we've been through a few months of racing now, but it is. I think you're absolutely right. We have to remember this is his first year on that motorcycle, so it's still a learning process out there.
Okay, so now we get to the title fight. Oh, wait, no. One other guy I want to mention in this 450 pack. Tony Caroli's just back.
He's back.
What? He's just back, JT. What?
We have to talk about Doug G2. We have to. It's a rule. It's a rule.
Okay.
No, Caroli coming back is awesome. I still don't know if it's a 1-week deal or if,
I don't know either.
I don't know how long he's staying, if he has a one-way ticket. I don't know what's going on there, but it is cool to have him back. In speaking with him, the limited opportunities I got to before he departed the series, he wasn't having a good time. And it was more, he didn't feel prepared.
Yeah.
He was struggling with the motorcycle, which, stop me if you've heard this before, somebody this year with that new gen KTM struggling.
It's been tough.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think this gave him an opportunity to go home, heal a little bit because he took on an injury at Fox Raceway the first round, and really sort through what's holding him back. Similar to what we said about Anderson, like what is on the motorcycle is stopping me from the result. I think he needed to go back to Italy, figure things out, train more, and get back some confidence because I could see it in his face. He running around in 8th and 9th place, this is a 9-time world champion. That's not what he came here for. I'm not saying he came here to win. I think he would even say like winning is probably a big ask. But being in the mix, being in top 5, seeing the podium, like those are all things that he's been doing for 15 years on a motorcycle. So we'll see what he's got this weekend. I think he'll get good starts. I think he'll run that scoop tire. I think he's going to put himself in a position. And remember, he's actually raced this track before. Yes, it was 2007. But that matters. Like it's the same track that he raced on. It's going to be going the same direction. So that's a little bit of an edge right there, too.
Okay. All right. So good to have the 222 back. Kind of the same story with Ryan Dungey. Kind of waiting on that podium. Aaron Plessinger over there. As I said, that pack behind Tomac and Sexton is so thick. My mic's working better now. Do I need to announce again? Do I need to say again? I don't need to say it again. That we will not have James Stewart. Do I have to say it again? I hope everybody heard. Yeah, Stu didn't make it today, but he'll be on the TV show tomorrow, I promise. Okay, now, let's talk Sexton Tomac. The story all week has been Chase Sexton did to Eli Tomac what no one does to Eli Tomac. Both in the series, he reeled him back in, both by winning races. And then in addition, the way he did it at Unadilla, I cannot remember, besides days where Tomac is way off, anyone just handling Eli Tomac. Okay, Unadilla is not Tomac's best track, but he rode good enough to gap everybody else.
He did.
And Sexton beat him.
I don't think he was very happy with last week's racetrack. I say that with a lot of confidence. His demeanor off camera, his demeanor on camera. The track was really difficult last week.
Yeah.
It would bite you, as we saw with Jet Lawrence and several other guys. If you overrode the track, if you pushed past your comfort zone, you paid a big price.
Yep.
And I think he knew that. He's a 3-time champion in this class alone, and I think he knows where his limit is. I think he was more frustrated that his limit wasn't good enough, and Sexton had more. But that's not going to be the case tomorrow. This track will allow you to be aggressive, right? If the pace goes higher and you're like, I got to take it to another place, this track will allow you to do that. You can still crash. Anything can happen, but there's a specific limit when you're on it and there's no traction. The bumps are like curbs, as Jeff Emig said last weekend. You know that, like, hey, one false move and I'm going to end up with my head. Like, it's just too sketchy. That's not here. So I'll be curious to see if Sexton wants to take it to the stratosphere again. Like, we're just going to go here. What's Tomac's response? Like, that's going to be the question, because I think Sexton's his confidence is building and building, right? It's a crescendo right now.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to want to get out here. He's going to want to extend the points lead. He's going to want to take it to Tomac again. And now it's kind of the emphasis is on Tomac to respond, right? He's been the predator in this series for, I don't know, 8 rounds, it feels like. Just winning and winning and building and takes the points lead, and it feels like this inevitable process of like, okay, we're on the backside of it now. It's all Tomac, and not so much anymore.
Yeah, I got a little insight this week. Someone talked to Sexton's dad after Southwick when Eli dominated. He owned Sexton and everybody else. It's a track where he's great. He had a win streak going. He was closing on the points lead. And I believe Sexton's dad said, what we have to convince Chase of is everybody has the narrative of when Eli Tomac gets it dialed, there's nothing you can do. You cannot beat him. We need to convince Chase that that is not true. You can beat him. And you did see he didn't win Millville, but he absolutely responded. He was a lot closer at Millville than he had been the previous races, then even closer in the first Moto at Washougal. Then he gets it done. Now he's won 3 in a row. Just from a mental side, JT, talk about the data is sitting there to say, nothing I can do, it's Eli Tomac. And for him to ignore that data and say, I'm going to try and I'm going to do it, man, there's very few riders, maybe no one, that's been able to do that.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a push-pull going on, because to me, outward appearances, I think Chase Sexton comes off as a very confident guy.
Yeah.
Like, I think when you talk to him, he has this aura about him where he believes he's the best guy. He believes he should be winning. Even like, remember at Loretta Lynn's, he sets the fastest time in the opening session on the 450, and we're all
His
like,
first
wow.
rate, yeah.
And he's like, and like, there wasn't any surprise.
Yep.
But I think internally, it's not the same guy, right?
Yeah.
I think he has his own doubts. When he's by himself, he's asking, can I really do this? Can I go take it to Tomac when he's feeling it too? Because no one ever seems to do that. It's like when Tomac's on, it's like where everybody just shrugs their shoulders and says, nothing we can do about that, right?
Yep.
Exactly what you said. So I think that he's having his own internal struggle. And I think, yes, he's battling Tomac. Yes, it's the greatest championship fight we've seen in a long time. But I also think there's an internal fight of Chase versus Chase right now. Mm-hmm. And he has to do just what you're saying. He's got to convince himself that he can do it, and then he's got to execute it. And you want to think it's going to get easier. Like, he did it the second Moto Washougal. He did it at Unadilla. But it's not going to get easier, because Tomac, I can guarantee you, Tomac is coming in here as focused as maybe he's been all year, because he knows this is like, it's on the line right here. He's going to go to a pretty neutral track, maybe a little bit of a home track for Sexton next week, and then Sexton's best track for the finale. Yeah. He has to perform here. He can't give up 6 more points. He can't. The math won't work out.
Yeah, that's what makes tomorrow's race so important. Okay, if they were to go in the finale tied, okay, then that's definitely the most pivotal race of the year. But outside of that, I feel like tomorrow is set up to be the most pivotal race. Tomac has to respond. If he gets another 1-1 hung on the board by Sexton, now we're like, hey, it's not just Unadilla. It's any track. Sexton just has his number, and the points grow by 6 more. This whole thing looks different. So Tomac has to do it tomorrow. Sexton has to stop him. You can't have a better scenario for a race day. They both know how important tomorrow is.
It is. It's awesome. It's it feels like the most important round of the series. We'll probably say that again next week, and we'll certainly say it at Fox Raceway. But it does, and it's not necessarily for things off the track. To me, it's this mental struggle that these guys are going through, right?
Yep.
And there's a tension when they come off the track and they're in the podium before they come up and talk and they're, with their guys, like, it's tense. Like, there's a lot of respect there.
Yeah.
But you could feel what's on the line. Like, they know.
I'm interested to hear that because I've heard just one thing, and we're going to talk about Motocross the Nations here in a minute, but Eli had said, hey, it would probably help if the two of us sat down and decided how we want to do Team USA, but we're really not in a position to be having conversations. But that was not the vibe I'm getting watching the podium.
Right.
Behind the scenes, it's a little more like that.
I don't think it's not angst.
Yeah.
It's not like any sort of – they're not angry at each other. I don't think it's Stu and Ricky or anything like that. That's not what this is. But – they both know it's between those two. There's a championship at stake, and only one of them's getting it, and the other one's going to feel the letdown of letting down their sponsors and the OEM and everybody. So I don't think there's any animosity whatsoever. It's not that type of vibe. So when the series is over, whoever's champ, they're going to go to Redbud for Motocross of Nations and be just fine. But for now, there's a championship in the balance and probably a couple $1 million in the balance and legacy and all these things, and they have to sort that out between them. So there's not a lot of broing down and I don't think there's a lot of texting about, hey, who's going to be the 250 guy,
No, definitely not. And two more things to add more pressure to Sexton. He has said he doesn't want to win by default. Eli Tomac retires. He just becomes the top guy of his generation. He wants to do it with these guys still here.
Yep.
And Honda has not won this title. We talk about it every year. They have not won this title since 2004. 18 years since Honda has won a 450 title, Supercross or Motocross. Honda, and Sexton is aware of that. So there's so much on the line, and that's just here for Budds Creek, and that's just Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. But they're going to hook up as buddies, we believe, for Team USA, the Motocross of Nations. We will announce the team tomorrow. And for more on that, we're going to welcome our first guest to the show. It is Mike Pelletier of the American Motorcycle Association. Let's talk Motocross to Nations. Cheer for Mike Pelletier. He's helping Team USA, everybody. There you go. I'm going to give it to you by association. If they're not cheering for you, they're at least cheering for America. So but therefore they should be cheering for you. Because you're trying to help Team USA win this thing.
I am. So it's just good to be back at Budds.
I
just say that. This is one of my favorite racetracks, and before that, I remember being on. I'm sure a lot of this crowd was here in 2007 talking about Motocross Nations, and that's just something that I was a spectator, a fan, hanging over there with my buddies.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, was involved with the team at that point.
Yeah.
But that just got the blood pumping there, so that was incredible.
Wow. So someone tell a young Mike Pelletier in 2007 that the Nations will be back in the USA. And you will be a big part of the operation. Somebody tells you that, or you're like, what?
Yeah, I'd walk out of here going, you guys are crazy. You know what I mean? That's insane. But dream come true, being able to, be a part of this team and part of the AMA and putting this together. And, there's been a rough few years. I want to say all the way back to 2011. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to bring that up, but that's just reality.
It's been a lot of suffering on my end.
Yes. Look, whether you brought it up or not, JT and I were going to go there. JT goes into a funk every year by around September, October. He just loses all faith in humanity when the result comes in.
I ramp. There's just ramping that goes into
getting
the
ready?
Ramping. I got flags out. I'm body paint. And here we go. And then it just crash.
Yes.
Everything falls apart. I go into a depression. I lock myself in a room, and I come out around Christmas time.
We are aware. We are aware. And you are aware. So here's the thing. We thought 5 years ago, we're going to have the race at Redbud. They're going to win for sure. And that even didn't help. So we'll talk about the team selection. I know we're not going to announce the team tonight. We'll talk about what goes into that. But just talk about other things. You're not just there to show up. The goal is to win. And what things you guys are trying to do to make sure that happens this year. It's not just build a team and cross your fingers.
It's so true. In 2018, you're thinking it's coming to Redbud. On paper, Barsha, Plessinger, Tomac, it's looking great. Yeah. Plessinger's dyeing his hair red, white, and blue. We're all in.
The vibe on Saturday night when we did that live show, they came over there. The whole team came over. I think they got second on qualifying day, but they all performed well.
Yep.
Plessinger led the MX2 race. Everything was looking good.
Yep.
And then, Mother of God, what happened on Sunday?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we thought we had it, for sure.
For sure. So then we go at 19 to Assen, right? Team's all in. They go over a month before.
Yep.
Everything's great. They're getting used to sand. The sky's open.
Yep.
And we have a track we've never even seen before. I haven't even seen conditions like that. I thought Redbud was crazy.
Yeah.
They'll do man-made sand and deep up to your bars almost.
Yep.
And they put in a good effort, and then COVID happened, right?
Yep.
And we didn't even have the event in 2020.
Yeah.
2021, we're ready to send a team, trying to figure it all out operationally. Had 3 riders committed. It was awesome. Made the choice not to go. My name was on that press release. I was like public
Oh,
enemy
boy.
number one.
Okay.
Right? Not sending
Okay.
a team over there.
Yeah.
But then we roll into this year, and the vibe's different. I know I say that all the time, and we want to get the unity back in the team. And that's after talking to ex-riders that have been on the team and Carmichael and all those guys. I said, you got to get that unified team back and have them want to go.
Okay.
So the 3 riders this year, the second we started bringing it up, and of course being at Redbud helps, right? I mean, it's in America, no doubt. But they've taken it to a different level, and their personalities are coming out, and they're all in. I mean, every time I talk to them, they're talking about this and, you know, the track and things like that, and there's just a different vibe going on. And you're talking in the midst of a championship.
Well, I would say this, too. When was the last time we had guys, like, vying and lobbying to get onto this team?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, for sure. And again, it helps being here, but, I mean, to even have riders, you know, want to do it at this point is great. So I feel like we are getting that vibe back. You'll see it on their faces tomorrow. They're amped up, and we are too, so it's going to be cool.
Yeah, so you end up having a different problem than you normally have. You're trying to find 3 guys and 3 teams. They're healthy and ready, willing, and able. Now you had a tough decision this year where you're leaving good guys off of the team because there's more than 3 qualified candidates.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, without going into who the riders are, I think there's some clear-cut favorites on the 2 450s, right?
Yes.
And those guys are really in, and seeing what the pace they're going. I was watching Unadilla. I wasn't at Unadilla, but just watching that on the broadcast, I was
Unreal.
like, my goodness, this is insane.
Yeah.
Then the 250 moto is just everything that could happen happened in the 250
It's
moto.
wild. Yes.
Right? So as soon as we kind of lock in on our riders, I like to call it dad mode. I'm like, okay,
Yeah, I would
guys,
bubble
you
wrap
know,
them,
yeah,
right?
that's what
Oh,
we're trying
okay,
to do there.
okay.
So, you know, it's one of those. But, you know, we usually announce at Unadilla. We decided to push that for a multitude of reasons. I talk with Roger almost daily at this point, trying to figuring this out. And we wanted to see some more results because Christian's been riding really good on the 450. You know, we don't usually drop a rider down, but who says we can't? You know, and he's at Supercross was just on the 250. You know, it's good. Justin Cooper's starting to come into his own, right? He's starting to feel that flow again, and coming off an injury like that, he's riding really well. So the 250 decision is really difficult.
If Justin Cooper doesn't win that second moto or Schugel, your job's a whole lot easier. And then we go into a 2-whole-week break with no more data, not knowing what we're going to get. Was it just one moto that where things worked out, or is he fully back? That has to have complicated things quite a bit.
It was, because with these guys, and all you guys know this, is when they're sitting idle, they start to think, right? So my phone was just as busy on the off week with nothing going on that it was, you know, during the racing. So
With the lobbying?
Yeah,
with guys
with the lobbying.
wanting to
Well,
be on.
and they want to do it.
When we left Washougal, I was like, Mike Pelletier's got a rough one. And then Unadilla last week, second month, I'm like, he really has a rough week coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you'd rather have, let's be honest, this is a nice problem to have.
Yeah,
It's an
for sure.
embarrassment of riches right now.
For sure. Yeah. We're definitely in a better situation than we usually are. I can definitely say that. So.
However, one problem on the horizon here. Yes, it's at Redbud. That helps. It's a track the riders are familiar with. But there's another team that has 2 other riders who are really good this year, and they also race at Redbud. And America is pretty much home for them right now. JT, the Australian team, which has now been announced, we will see Jet Lawrence on a 450 at the Nations, Hunter Lawrence on the 250, and Mitch Evans, who has a lot of speed in MXGP. You never know what you're going to get from him.
Yep.
But if he's on that day, JT, that Aussie team's going to be tough.
They are. And, you know, Mitch Evans has a full factory Honda HRC bike, and that thing is potent. I've seen it multiple times this year. That bike is as advanced as you'll ever see on this planet right now. And yes, I am concerned about Team Australia. They're obviously going to be really great. I'm more concerned with the French team, right? And we're going to have one of their riders here in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
When they announced that lineup and then they put Marvin on the 250, I'm like, I mean, we could still win, right? Our two 450 guys, I believe, can race with anybody and beat anybody on Earth right now. I truly believe that. I've been to 4 GPs this year. I've watched every race here this year. I believe it. I've watched the pace between the two on a track that they're familiar with.
Yeah.
I think we can win. I think both of our guys can win their motos. But the French team has a really strong lineup, and if you look over the course of history, they are so strategic about these events. Like, they find a way to win, right? And that's been half of our problem is we've found ways to lose.
Yeah.
Weather, crashes, Jeremy Martin breaks his foot the first day. Like, it's just been every way we can possibly lose, and France has been on the other side of that. So, on one hand, it's back to where we said with Chase Sexton about if you're going to win, let's do it the right way. Let's beat the best team. Like, everybody bring your best guys, and I know Jeffrey Hurling is not coming, but if we're going to win, let's do it. Like, I don't want an asterisk win. I don't want people saying, well, yeah, this guy wasn't there, and you know, let's do it. Let's beat the best there is.
Have you learned from it's been amazing what that French team has put together. They really operate as a team, and they have made some bizarre choices. I mean, honestly, Musquin being on a 250 which he hasn't done in, I think, 7 years, and he doesn't even race outdoors. But they have proven time and time again, doubt them at your own peril. They have something else besides just rider names on an entry list. So is that something you folks have seen, where these other teams are really taking it to a next level, almost behind the scenes, besides just the talent?
Right. I mean, there's so much more when we're at the event than, behind the scenes what people don't see is the
Yeah.
strategy.
Yes.
I mean, it's not easy to win that. The way the
Yep.
scoring works, you're throwing out a moto, and the French have been so good
Yeah.
at just putting that all together year
Yes.
after year. And as JT said, we just seem to find a way to just mess that up, and it's it's been frustrating for sure, but hats off to the France, they figured it out and they've been dominant.
I feel like it was almost, on a mathematical level, it almost just looked like a return to the mean. Like we had so many times where we grasped victory out of the jaws of defeat at that race, and it had to even back out a little bit, and we ran into bad luck and time again. A lot of years we just weren't the best team. Like that's going to happen at times too. Yep. So I think we can start a new dawn. We can get the riders back involved in this series. We're on the backside of COVID. Like we have a chance to really turn the tide. And I give you and your crew a lot of credit because you've really reached out, talked to different people like, hey, let's really form a team effort here. Let's get a bunch of smart people in a room, and how can we erase any holes, right? What are we missing? Like what strategies are we not thinking about that can really help us? Because I think that's been a big part of what Team France has done so well is like, they're really thinking this race out, right? It's not just another race that we're going into it and our guys are going to race as hard as they can and we'll see how we do. Like they're really thinking about, do we start this guy on the inside? Do we put the 250 guy there? How do we do this? Is this guy better at passing? Can he move through the pack? Or, if Justin Cooper, he's a front runner, right? He gets to start. He's going to do well. We can't put him on the outside. You know what I mean? There's all those little intricacies that have to be thought through before it's time to line up.
Absolutely right. I mean, that's so true. Those are the things you don't see behind the scenes going on, and it really gets into some of the riders' heads of those decisions we're trying to make, and you want to involve them in that, right? I mean, it's hard if we're, going through these two championship contenders right now, going tooth and nail to trying to get to this championship, and then saying, hey, guys, can you be friends next weekend and try to do this, right? And they're great about it, and it's going to be interesting, and I think their excitement level is what gets us excited and keeps pushing for it, right?
That's cool.
As JT mentioned, we put a good team together. Got Christina Denny doing all the logistics for the team. Super helpful when we go overseas, especially. I brought in Paul Parabinos this year as a consultant for fundraising. He's putting on this golf tournament that's going to be incredible. So just trying to help offset that and get that vibe together. All that's really doing is bringing us together, right? Yep. So when we get there, I mean, let's face it, the crowd's going to be incredible. We already know that. You guys are all going to probably be there, and it's just going to be awesome. And they're going to feed off that, too. As a rider, JT, they're going to feel that on the fence line.
No doubt.
Everywhere they are.
I wish they wouldn't because it's going to be nervous energy, but that's okay. Like, no matter who is picked, even if Christian Craig, he's raced for a championship, right? Regardless of who gets onto this team, they've all faced those mental demons that they're going to face. And make no doubt about it, they're going to be the most nervous they've ever been in their life on that Sunday. Yep. Home race. Everybody wants to win. It's been a decade since we've won this thing, and there's going to be a lot of pressure, but I think they're all up to it. That's what I'm the most excited about is I think they're all up to this challenge on a track that they can all ride really well. If this was in France or if this was in Great Britain or a track that has like all these subtleties that are really hard to get used to, I would be very nervous. Going to Red, but I'm just not that nervous.
Yeah. And it's unique, too, when we go overseas. It's a different vibe because, it could be a different language. It could be different currencies, food. You take all that into account. And we kind of get into our bubble there. It's us against the world because it just brings us closer.
Yeah.
Here, it's more open, and we're saying, okay, guys, we want your support.
True.
Let's push this over the edge here. And that's what's really cool about being home.
So the team we will announce tomorrow, but that behind-the-scenes group, like I remember watching the struggles in Red Bud of 2018, and JT, you and I are literally standing next to Paul Parabinos, and we're seeing how the other teams are doing XYZ properly, and Team USA is struggling. So can't believe it came together that Paul, who is as knowledgeable as anyone I know in this industry, ends up now being part of the effort. First with a fundraiser that's coming up, and just do the hashtag Raise It for USA with the number 4. And that money goes to some infrastructure that you folks can use. Yeah. And Paul's big goal in the future is to maybe give the teams or give the riders money, because that's what we keep hearing about. Everybody has to spend their own money, and it's a big burden trying to make it rewarding to do this event.
Sure. I mean, the cost of going overseas, as you guys can all imagine, is incredible. Yeah. So anything we can do to offset that, and as the AMA, we try to contribute what we can. But even just any fundraising at all, and we have some T-shirts going. Little D's been awesome at FMF. He's going to do some fundraising T-shirts. Yep. Between that, the golf tournament, all that's going to go to the team. All that's going to go to the OEs to help get there, the riders. So this is just really cool to be able to do this.
And it's not cheap to do it right. Like you can't ask Eli Tomac, hey, we need you to ride in the back of a cargo plane overseas to go do this. You have to treat them right. You have to they have to travel in the manner they're accustomed to, or else they're not going to want to do this event, right? This event isn't in their contracts. They don't have to necessarily do it. And we want them to feel like everything is taken care of. Everyone's going the extra mile to make this work. Then I can put in my effort too. Yep. Them coming out of pocket to go to this race it's a really difficult thing to ask, and we've had to do that. So hopefully we can fix that in the future.
Yeah, the big thing we want to do, and it's different because they do have to communicate with each other. It's a team event. They have to work together, but we try not to break their race day strategy that they're used to, right? To an extent, you have to, but we want to keep them as comfortable as possible, and that's part of Paul and everybody's goal is let's keep you as focused as you can on what the job is because we're here to win. And when I talked to these 3 riders, I went into it and I said, podiums are great, top 5s are cool. We're here for one goal, it's to win this. That's it, period.
Oh, yeah.
And they all went in and they said, oh, yeah, let's do this. So.
Assuming that Eli Tomac is on this team, and if he's not, I'll freak out. I will absolutely freak out.
You're out of here, Mike. If you don't, he's a good pick. I think Tomac would be good. I think he'd be a good pick.
But I can promise you he knows what it felt like that Sunday afternoon in Buchanan, Michigan. Yep. Like, no one felt good. And I promise you he didn't feel good. He didn't perform well. That was a brand new motorcycle. They had issues with it all weekend. Like, it was like just every issue you could encounter, bad starts, crashes, mechanical on Saturday in the qualifying race. It was all bad. And no one felt worse than he did. I promise you. And I can guarantee you he's going to want to get that taste out of his mouth.
I assure you, everybody listening to this is when we're there and everybody says, well, they're doing it just to do it or want to race for the country. They want this more than anything than when they ride this. You might not see it, and they keep their game faces on.
Okay.
But it means everything to these guys, and they're racing for the country, and it means a lot to them.
That's the communication and the vibe you've felt with these riders.
Absolutely.
They're all in.
And we feel that every year. Like when we were in Aston and Cooper had a mishap, and he really hurt his hand over in Aston.
Yep.
And we're thinking, okay, we're going to have to throw that moto away, right? And Anderson was collected with him. So then we get up, and he took some X-rays, and he's there, and he goes, "I'm racing this moto." It's like there was no question. I'm going back on that racetrack because we need this, and it's like that's what's cool about it. That's what's exciting.
All right, we look forward to it. We think we need to be a little. We thought for sure we had it 5 years ago. Thought for sure. We don't want to guarantee anything, but the vibe is good. That's good. And when's this being announced? Tomorrow before the
opening
motos?
ceremony. So 12:30 on the podium. You guys fill that hillside. Let our guys know that you're in support of them, and that's going to go a long way. So I won't announce the riders here, but I will say a cool fact.
Oh.
I will announce, you heard it here first, we're going to be numbers 101, 102, 103.
Oh,
good
vibes from that.
That's
good
okay. We've had a good history for you history buffs
2005?
in there. 2005. We won with that, so
okay.
That's going to be cool.
All right, Team USA announced tomorrow during opening ceremonies on the podium. You fans pumped on Team USA? Can you cheer for them tomorrow? Can you be at the podium? All right, thanks, Mike Pelletier from the AMA. We're going to take a commercial break on staging area. We'll be right back.
Keeping your pride and joy perfect is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Start with Slick Mist Speed Wax. Simply mist on and wipe off for a professional detailer shine. For your tires and trim, there's Lucas Slick Mist Tire and Trim Shine. Spray on and wipe off for better than new look. Then finish her with Lucas Slick Mist Interior Detailer. Just spray and wipe. Easy. Use Lucas Slick Mist Car Care products and she'll never look better. Fast, easy, and set of hands. Or 3.
Who's it going to be after 30 minutes and 2 laps? Heart rates are absolutely pinned right now. It is on right now. MAP TV live coverage. Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. How can you not respect the grit, the heart? Is the 2021 Lucas Oil Pro Motocross champion.
The Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Series. This year on MAP TV.
Got a lot larger during our commercial break. This is Ezra Beasley, the new owner, the full-on. I did not realize. I was not giving you enough credit, Ezra, the owner of Budds Creek. You had purchased the track from your dad, so it still stays in the family. It's not a completely new situation. But everybody is raving about not just the track itself, but the facility and all the work you put in. I know you've been trying really hard to make this place go to an even higher level, Ezra.
Yeah, thank you, Weege. My dad, he always did a great job. He built this beautiful facility that we're at today. But it needed a little love when we got here. And that's what we've done. Me and my crew, we worked really hard. I told you earlier, it's crazy what a little TLC and a paintbrush will do. Fresh coat of paint, trimming some trees, well-kept facility, and we've worked really hard towards that, and we'll continue to work on that.
You know what, Ezra? Not only is the track looking good, but you got this real vibe of these local dudes. A lot of local fast privateers. They even ride here quite a bit, right?
Yep.
And some other local tracks. JT, I feel like it's become like up and pushing each other.
Yeah, I mean, you look through the last few years, and Tony Archer and Rod Bell and all these guys are coming through, and I believe
Steepheck?
Stepping's really good.
Stepping, yep.
God, who's
Sanford, Thomas Welch.
Yeah, but there's who's from Delaware?
Jack Rogers, Cody Shock.
Oh, Shock. We don't have the Shocker
so
this year.
Great last year, right? So yeah, that's cool. I mean, this is right outside in the shadow of District 5, which is so well known for all the riders that they brought out of that district. But I think this is another one that's kind of on the come up.
Yeah. So do the guys come here a lot?
Yeah. So we get these guys every time we have open practice. Like the A-class practice looks like it could be a national moto. I think one day a couple weeks ago we had 20 pro guys out here.
Dude.
We do this event called the I-95 Training Days every year where we invite all the riders of pro motocross, anyone with a pro card. So if you're watching this and you have a pro card, come on out next year.
Oh, cool.
It's 3 days, the I-95 Training Days. We invite the pros out to ride for free. We do a big group dinner together. It's just a fun vibe. It's cool for them because they get to be on the track with some other guys their speed without all the amateur guys out there.
Yeah.
And I've seen that in the results, especially here at Budds Creek.
Well, that's probably why they're all getting faster, right? Because these guys are all riding together now.
Yep.
That's the idea. It's like the old training facility, but now you got one right here at Budds. So tell me how this came to be. We remember you running around. I don't remember you ever being small. I don't know if you were ever small, but technically you did grow up.
At
right?
birth, he was larger than me.
Yes, he was JT. This is infant size. You're JT size as an infant.
Little buddy.
Yeah. But you grew up here, literally.
Yeah.
Track.
I grew up here. At first, my dad would just pawn me off on whoever would take me to get me out of his hair.
That's right.
Then I started getting really interested in it. I love putting on events. I love being an entertainer in a lot of ways. Nothing makes me happier than seeing amateur riders, youth riders coming home for a day of practice, a day of racing with a smile on their face. So about 6 months ago, I made an offer to my dad to purchase the track, and he accepted my offer. I didn't think he'd accept my offer, but he did.
Okay.
And
is he a tough negotiator with his own son? Or is it pretty smooth?
No, he was pretty tough. But,
he was? Okay. All right.
Yeah. I just kind of shot it at him one day after a long time of negotiation. He built his place starting when he was 13 years old, so he loves it. He has a huge passion for the sport. We were kind of butting heads a little bit because I got the new school mentality.
Yeah.
He has a very much old school mentality. He's had a pro national since 1989, been doing amateur races since 1973.
Jeez, man.
So, yeah, I just wanted to get some fresh blood in there, and me and my crew have just been taking off with it.
So at one point your dad still owned it, Ezra, but you were working, and you guys were trying to work together at one point, I guess?
Yeah. So I'd do all the races. My dad would do all the practices.
I see. That was the one way to separate.
Yep.
We don't have to do the same exact thing in the same exact day. That was the you can do your old school of the races, and I'll do the new school of practices, or vice versa, whatever. Is Dad still around?
Oh, yeah. Dad, he still lives here at the track.
Mm-hmm.
He loves to come hang out, socialize with everybody. Aside from that, he's just an amateur historian now. If you ever want to learn any fact about the Civil War, he's your guy on that one.
Not just Moto.
Yeah, not just Moto.
Just Moto.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Civil War. That might be the only thing bigger than Moto in his mind.
That's why you're in this area of the country. I mean, there's so much history all up around here. That makes sense. And the history of this track. JT, you were bench racing about US
or allowed by what used to be Ustream, which is now in front. They had to bring you in. Y had reached out to your dad and said, hey, I really want to do USGP. I'd raced, nationals all summer or whatever, was getting top 10s, top 15s, whatever. I said, I'm willing to do it. I'll drive up, come, whatever. So he's like, just give me some time. And I'll never forget the phone call. He called and said, hey, what are you doing? I said, I don't know. I was in college at the time. I'm probably studying. And he's like, you want to race USGP? I'm like, I do.
Yeah.
And he's like, come on up. So,
awesome.
Great opportunity, get to race with all those guys, and now to get to do, color commentary at those MXGP. It's come full circle, but that's just a memory that I will never forget. Your dad calling me. Yeah.
Did you race the National that year also?
Yeah, here. It was
how different was
muddy
the
as
track?
hell. It was muddy as hell for the National.
The National was.
Yeah.
Yes. But how different was it? Like, okay, so this track had a National and a GP
just
in
no
the
doubles.
same year.
Yeah, so
that was it.
Tabletops were a thing, right? You couldn't have double jumps in the GPs. It wasn't even called MXGP, but in the GPs you couldn't have double. So all these jumps were just turned into tabletops, which I'm sure was a huge pain in the butt for your dad to do, to go change all the jumps around. But for me, it was such an eye-opening experience to race all these guys that, remember, like, we didn't have all these races live on TV, right? The world was a much bigger place back then. So I would be seeing all these guys I'd seen in magazines, Stefan Everts and all these guys that were coming over, and a lot of guys that were on the fringe, but they were regular GP regulars, and I'm like, oh, I know who that is, as he blows past me, right? You know what I mean? So
on the track. Yes.
I was like 19 years old. It was just a really cool memory that I'll never forget. Is like, that was my one foray into European racing. Even though it was here, it was still European racing. All the guys there were maybe like 5 Americans that raced a day or something.
Right.
So it was really cool.
Yeah, that's the cool thing. You're keeping this legacy going. People would hate to see the track go away, especially with all that history. We could spend 20 more minutes talking about donations in 07. So keeping the track going and going to the next level so it could be here for a long time.
Yeah. We have a lot of cool new stuff going on here, event-wise. Just a whole bunch of amateur racing. All our amateur racing's gone really well. We got some good local series, the Capital Cup, which I started. We're seeing almost a renaissance in our local scene.
Yeah.
We got some other strong series like Mama MX. It's just a fun thing to be a part of this Mid-Atlantic motocross area. We got some good tracks here, a lot of passionate and supportive riders, and the goal is to keep it 1973. That's about to be 50 years. Hopefully we'll keep it going another 50 years, and my kid will be doing the same thing to me one day.
Right.
There you go.
We'll see what kind of negotiator you are when your kid wants to buy the track from you. Hey, round of applause for Ezra Beasley, who now owns the track here at Budds Creek, but keeping it in the family. Thanks, sir.
Thanks for having me, fellas. Pleasure to be up here.
All right. He's going to be working hard tomorrow. I don't know how you had time.
Yep.
I don't know how you had time for us.
We made it work.
If it's not ready by now, we're in big trouble.
Yeah,
my secretary scheduled it for me.
Okay, we put you on the list for 10 minutes.
Yep. I just want to thank everyone that's coming out tomorrow. It's going to be great.
It is. Absolutely. Thanks, Ezra.
Thanks, Ezra.
And the only one who was able to bump him is our defending 450 national champ. Sorry, sir. One guy had more clout than you. You're good. We're going to pass the headset on. We got Dylan Ferrandis. Let's hear it for Dylan Ferrandis coming on up to the set. Thank you. Yep.
Thanks,
So Dylan Ferrandis back last week, first race. I was thinking like, hey, just first motocross race of the year. But as he reminded me, last Friday it was actually his first race since March because he had not raced Supercross with the injury there. And then as we bench race, JT, giving a little tune-up here. Then Dylan, as we were bench racing before you came up here, okay, a lot of guys want to come into the series and see where they are, take a measure of how they're feeling. No, you decided to just lead. Right off the bat, just whole shot and lead laps as soon as you jump back into the series. What was that like at Unadilla? Because you were literally first right off the rip. You'll get it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I mean, I was as surprised as you to get this whole shot, but I mean, that's why I practiced at the farm during the week. I practiced the start, I practiced to go fast, I practiced the moto. So at some point it must pay off. So it was good. It was good to lead the moto, and then I was just missed some racecraft and missed some racing time. So I did what I could, but it was not enough. At the end of the day, for sure, was a little bit disappointed, but at the same time, I completely destroyed my thumb. I think now is like 12 weeks ago.
Okay.
So not much I can do about that,
So when I was watching the moto, well, first I watched you in the time qualifying sessions in the morning, and like pretty decent, but not like I didn't think you would be winning the first moto. And then you grab the whole shot, and it seemed like at the beginning you get shuffled back a little bit, like Sexton Tomac go by, and then it felt like you regrouped a little bit, and then I saw you pick the intensity back up. Did you feel that happening? Like did you fall back and then kind of find the pace of those guys? Because then you were able to just stay with them the rest of the race.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you guys know how it is. It like when you don't race and you miss half the season, more than half the season, it's hard to just get back in the mix and be faster than those guys. They've been racing every weekend. The bike is set up. Like they just have this racing this racing feeling very, very, very ready. And for me, it was just I was leading the moto. I was like, all right, just don't burn yourself out after a few laps, and just learn your bike, learn the track, because I just did 2 times 10 minutes in practice with my race bike in race situation. So it was just needs time, it needs time to get this feeling back. And as soon as I didn't really even try to beat this guy. Like when I see Kenny passed me, then I saw Eli, I let him go because obviously he's my teammate and he's playing the championship. Then Chase and Jason were just more aggressive than me, so I just not even trying to beat this guy. But then I found my flow, and I found my pace also, and at the end for sure was better than early in the moto, and we moved from that. But I mean, you guys know how easy it is. It's never easy when you come back from injury. You don't really know what you what you have in the tank, and if I can sustain this speed for the full moto. So it was like it was, and I just did the best I could, but it wasn't enough.
I was talking television and some interviews we were doing and stuff, and I think we all had questions about how would you be the first race back. Was it really early, or were you more prepared than maybe we were thinking? No one really knew, right? And people were asking me like how you were going to do. I'm like, I think if you asked Dylan, he would be asking the same questions. You don't know until you get out there, and how's the pace going to be? Is my bike going to handle how I want it to handle? Is my fitness where it needs to be? Like, all those questions have to be answered in a race situation, So, I think the good news is I think it gets better from here. Like, your body's going to readapt very quickly, and you find the pace again, and things kind of calm down. The race slows down a little bit for you. So, but overall, I was just very, very impressed too. As you mentioned, these guys have been racing for months. That was round 9, so it was just another race for them, and you had to work through all of these difficulties.
Yep, exactly. And I also missed half of the Supercross season, so missed a lot of racing. So just to get back to the mix it takes time, and it's not easy. Even for me, it's not easy. I wish I could win Moto and race like tomorrow and last week, but it is what it is. I do the best I can every time, and it's racing. It's tough.
So what have you made of the championship so far? Obviously, this was the championship you won last year. Incredibly impressive, and I think most people were caught off guard that you would be that good first year in the 450. You had raced 450s before, we know, but it was an incredibly strong season. So as you haven't had a lot to do, you can watch the races, objectively. You don't have to be involved. What have you made of the battle between Tomac and Sexton now that you have to actually get back and race these guys?
I don't know. I don't know what to say. I think if I was at the level I was last year, I could fight with this guy. And I think Unadia is a tough track for us as Team Yamaha to win, because it's maybe not the best track for her bike. And every year we got beat by the Honda boys over there. So I guess it's a track that suits the Honda more than hers. But on the rest of the season, I feel like I could have my chance to win also this season, but I had this injury, so now it's over. But I mean, for sure, Elias and Sexton are very good, very strong. I feel like maybe Ken is maybe a little less good than last year, I would say. It was impressive last year, and Jason also step up, but. I mean, I just did one race, so I can't tell much, but we see tomorrow. I think also Unadia was very different. Like this year was so weird. Like was a very difficult track for us and for me especially. And it was not normal, not like it is normally. It was very dry, dusty, and hard packed, so more like European condition. And what I hate, and it
didn't look like a track that if you like in this series you have to push. Like it's just a part of it, and the track did not look like it was a good track to push on.
No, it was sketchy, like crazy. Like you could have crashed everywhere, and battling with Guy was tough because it was not much of a line and a lot of dust. Like I was surprised the amount of dust we had on the track, and to see behind someone was very difficult.
Yeah. Wow, that's not what you expect. Those super deep ruts and soft rain, mud, almost conditions. So the thumb, you did tell me last week that strength, maybe not 100%. It's only one race. You don't know much. But are you like, okay, I can get this? Or do you know, no, it's going to be a while before I'm physically where I want to be? Or do you think you can, week to week, make some gains here?
Actually, I felt a big this week when I rode in practice. I felt a big step in the right direction.
Okay.
I think just last week condition make me walk even more harder, and it just give me. My thumb was very tired at the end of the day, but then after that, after one or 2 days when I recover, it was just better, getting more strength, and yeah, it's like everything. When you have something weak, you walk, it's tough, but then you get better. So yeah, it's gonna be better week after week. But I think, even me, I didn't know what to expect with my thumb. I didn't know if it will last for the tomorrow or not. So it was just a big how can I say, like a race where I test myself.
Yes.
And the test is over now, and I know what was wrong. I know where I can be better, and we already have improvement this week. And yeah, we see tomorrow. This track is a track I like. Last year I was feeling very strong, and more than like last year, Unadia, I wasn't feeling great. Like I said, Unadia is not a track where I usually feel good with my bike. So every year I struggle. So this year being not 100% was even more struggle. So I think these tracks suit me better, and especially the way they prep it right now, it looks very good. So we'll see tomorrow if I can be better.
It was awesome last year. I mean, you really went. We were trying to tease like Kenny wins Unadilla. Oh wait, maybe we still have a championship battle on our hands. You shut that right down. You shut that right down. So just the track alone gives you a little bit of confidence compared to last weekend.
Just when I see right now they reap a pretty 20-inch, or I don't know, 20-inch deep. So that's more what I like. You know, that's the reason why I came to the US to race this track. Is this condition, not outback and dusty conditions. So
yeah, you said those are the conditions. Is that basically why you left?
Yeah,
I don't want to ride dust anymore.
No. I hate that.
Okay, how much was this? You have a number one plate on your bike. When you first got hurt, and I don't know if you knew the timeline, were you like, man, I at least want to ride with the darn number one plate? How much of your motivation to get back was just to have that number one plate? Because you never know what's going to happen in the future.
For sure, I thought about it, but I'm like, it must not be my priority. Like, if I just go back to racing to ride with the number one, it's an ego problem or whatever, but it's not good for my mind. You know, I don't want to go to the race just to ride with the number one. I tried to be, like I said last week in different interviews, like when I get my surgery, I was like, okay, you know what, boot camp for like a month and a half, and we see I get back on the bike as soon as possible, but more to be fit and ready for next year. Like my goal is definitely next year, and I walk, like I said, I walk on my weakness during this time to recover my thumb. And I was like, okay, what was wrong? What was bad? What's the problem? And then I just wanted to get back to the races, to this last 4 round, to be in this racing situation for next year, not for riding with number one. For sure, it's cool. It's something I will remember forever. But my goal is to win next year. So both Supercross and Motocross. So I couldn't stay off without racing all summer. Like I think for a racer, when you taste this vacation time, when you see your teammate racing and you're not racing, I think that's bad for the mind, and it can kill your motivation to get back to this warrior mode that you need to be for racing. You know.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, Supercross. Look, a lot of it we just thought was he's just not getting starts. Is it just that, or were there things you identified? You mentioned working on the weaknesses. Are you things you identified in Supercross this year where you're like, I've got to get better at certain things to make next year go? Because I'm sure Supercross wasn't what you wanted this year.
No, for sure. Only one podium, 0 win. Like, no, it was just a bad year for me, and I was very disappointed. And I was in a dark time. Like, I was depressed. Like, I race for win, or I race for championships. So when I'm so far from a podium or win, like, it's tough, and that kill me during this season. So like I said, I really tried to analyze what was wrong, and the goal now is to be ready for next season and don't do the same mistake and just be better. And at the end of the year, if it's not enough, it's not enough. I will try my best and see what I can do. But for sure, the goal and the motivation is to be number one.
There you go. And one other thing on your agenda, you're now officially named part of Team France. That's cool. Hey, Team France, they're really good at the donations, okay? Including The last
Nobody
time they
cheer.
raced at Red Bud.
Nobody
yeah,
cheer.
yeah, JT's going to be very upset. Including the last time at Red Bud, when you were part of the team, that won. So, hey, you're going to have almost a month and a half between getting back at Unadilla and racing, probably be in good form.
We're going to need you to take some time off.
Yeah, he
After
wants
Fox
you to.
Raceway, Cabo. We'll
Take
raise
another
raise it for France.
Yes.
We're going to get a Cabo fund together for you. Go have a bunch of beers, take a bunch of time off, gain 15 pounds, and we'll see you at Red Bud.
You and Nastasia do a good job with vacation. When you go to vacation, you do an excellent job. Yeah, the American fans would prefer you come in not ready, but I'm sure that's not the plan. You got a pretty good team here.
Yeah, for sure. I wasn't really sure. I really wanted to race first in Adia before taking my decision.
Yeah.
And like I said before, I want to race the nation also to still keep the racing mode and be ready for next season. But it's also an event that I like, and it's in Red Bud. It's almost
we need guys that are unfamiliar.
Not Dylan Ferrandis.
Yes.
Not Dylan
Ferrandis. He's going to be hitting his prime, his peak
Great.
form. Yes,
Yeah, thanks,
exactly.
Reach. Great.
Yeah.
Grand. Perfect.
So you like, you've got some things going in your direction for that event. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I raced 8 years ago. I won. 4 years ago, I raced
4
the
years.
nation, and maybe I win. So we see. But that's a great event for sports. We have to get event like this, like nation are insane. And for sure, I hope Team USA will be strong because we need Team USA at the nation. It's very important. And for the world. It's going to be a great battle, and I hope Team France win with a very short gap with Team USA.
That's nice. The end of the show.
Nice. That's nice. He doesn't want to clobber Team USA. He'd like at least to
just
keep it
break
close.
our hearts as painfully as possible. Like last lap, just rip our hearts out.
Do you have any analysis of the? I think no one's surprised to see you on the team. Certainly not Maxime Renault. Marvin Musquin on a 250. Not even racing outdoors this year. Hasn't raced a 250 since 2015 by my
surgery after the season.
Oh, okay.
And you guys know Nation is a race that we do as a bonuses as a racer.
Yeah.
But it's not priority. The priority is to get championship. For me, it's to win Supercross championship. For the guy in MXGP is to win the World Championship. So Nation is just a bonus race that you can do at the end of the season. And when you have injury or something that you need to fix, it's the next season is priority. So all the other French 250 rider, and we have good French 250 rider in Europe, they had to get surgery after the season. So I think that's the main reason was why they decided to ask Marvin to ride it, because he was the best choice regardless of the people injured.
We could have found somebody. Rubini, Tom Guillon. We could have found somebody besides Marvin Musquin. I don't like how good this team is.
They pulled Charlier out of Enduros once and still won the darn event. Okay, almost nothing we can do to stop these guys. All right, well, awesome to have you back. It's a track you like. Feel better after last week. Things are kind of looking up. Who knows? Maybe we do get a battle. I know it'd be pretty early, 2 weeks in.
Podium, Budds Creek, and then we're going for wins. Or is it just... I'm putting you on the spot here. I know.
It's tough. Like last week, you guys asked me. I said top 5, top 3, but I finished 7 overall, so that sucked for me. So I don't know. For sure, my goal is to be on the box. Like I wish. I think Chase and Eli are really on the top of the game. Jason also is very strong. He was very fast last week. But if I can fight with this guy and be around the podium, I would be very happy. But I will also try to win if I can. But it's hard to say. Like this sport is tough, and you get a toll on the body, and it's never easy. So
it's always situational. If you get the whole shot, every goal is possible. If you're 12th on the first lap, the goals change a little bit. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
He's just hoping that you save your good stuff for these races, and then Donations adds.
I told
back
you.
her down.
Cabo.
Yeah.
Cabo is the place to be.
You'll have done 4 straight races. It'll be time for a nice break and a nice vacation. back it down. Hey, let's have a round of applause. Thanks for sticking around all the way till 7 o'clock. We got Dylan Ferrandis here, everybody. I'm Jason Wygate, Jason Thomas. We will see you. James Stewart will be part of our broadcast tomorrow, so join us on MAV TV and Flow Racing and MAV TV there. We'll see you tomorrow from Budds Creek.